With the bad comes the good. It would be weird if I talked about the worst weeks in Big Brother history and didn't talk about the weeks of Big Brother I absolutely adore. I have so much more fun talking about the great weeks of Big Brother compared to the awful ones. If you didn't see my video last week, I discussed the 10 weeks in Big Brother history that I felt were the worst, using whatever criteria I wanted because it's completely subjective. And this week, I'm doing the same exact thing, but talking through the weeks of Big Brother I feel honored to have witnessed. These 10 are the best of the best, at least in my mind and from what I remember. I totally could have missed a week that you really love, and if I did, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to reminisce on some great Big Brother because when this show is great, it is the best reality TV out there. I truly believe that. And I'm here to show that through this video. We might be in for a long one if I get carried away talking about some of these, so let me just ask y'all real quick to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. And let's get right into it with my 10 favorite weeks in Big Brother history. This number 10 slot was so tricky. There are so many weeks of Big Brother, and so many weeks I adore. I really wanted to pick one of the many weeks from BB6, whether that's the Kenny eviction week, the Cedric eviction week, the Joseph eviction week. All of them were contenders. I really enjoyed the back-to-back boots of Danny and Big Jeff in BB13. That double eviction with the clown shoe is iconic. And then even the Amanda and Alyssa boot week in BB15 is great, and the true exterminator takeover at the end of that game. But I had to go to my roots. A very early season of the show, and the best week from that season, to me, will be the second Kaser eviction in week 6 of BB6. This is the week of the first ever pressure cooker comp. One of the most iconic and beloved comps in Big Brother history. A comp that lasted nearly 14 hours and ended with Kaser, who had just come back into the game, throwing the comp to Jennifer, somebody in the opposing Friendship Alliance, who promised to keep Kaser safe this week. But we all know what happens later on in the week. Rachel wins the veto, saves herself from the block, and just when James is almost certainly going to go up and go home, Maggie got into Jennifer's ear, talking to her like the Green Goblin mask, and tells her to take out Kaser when you have the chance. He's the head of that snake, and you make sure he is gone for good. And then bam, a big ass blindside on Kaser, and while it's devastating to watch, it's so iconic at the same time. But the week doesn't even end there. No, it's just the beginning, and I think that eviction episode from this week is one of the best episodes in Big Brother ever. Everybody's pissed at each other, being so petty and so cliquey. Janelle and Beau have their iconic fight with the polyester hair and the "you date older man." Kaser's evicted, and then at the HOH, Janelle wins, and we are given both "Gimme That Key Bitch" and "Bye Bye Bitches" all in one fell swoop, and end the episode and the week with just absolute cinema. I rewatched that specific episode for this video, and watching the entire episode confirmed my feelings and locked this in to be in the top 10. It is a great week of Big Brother. You see the devastation of Kaser going again in such an iconic way, to the triumph of Janelle avenging Kaser and winning HOH, and you know those people are about to get it. For number 9, I have a week of the show that is entirely made through one episode and one day, but that day is so iconic and gave me so much hope that I have to put this in the top 10, and it's going to week 5 in BB21, aka day 44. And I mean, I don't really need to talk about anything else but day 44. A season that has just been dreadful to this point because of a majority alliance dominating the game in the most unlikable way, turns right on its head right before the live eviction. This is just a moment where you had to be there to enjoy the live experience, the joy that it was giving. All of it starting with Kat and Holly joking about going to Stagecoach together and knowing each other before the show. You know, they know each other, that whole thing. And with Kat on the block, the 6 shooters, minus Jackson and Holly, we're talking about flipping this vote to take out Kat, to sever that relationship. Come to find out, Jackson and Holly figure this out, and all hell breaks loose hours before the live eviction. Maybe even less. I mean, we deadass had a satellite leak where we could watch the live feeds while the feeds were down so we could watch this fight because of how insane it was. Please watch this in its entirety if you don't remember it well, because it's one of the most glorious things in Big Brother ever. It doesn't really matter who is right or who is wrong in this situation because everybody's unlikable, and you know everybody involved in this fight is going to tank their game because of it. It's a rare fight in Big Brother that has no sides. It's just rage and door slamming and jumping on beds. It's incredible. I love everything about this fight, everything about this week. Going into a live eviction where you have no idea who is going home, which never happens, ever in Big Brother before AI Arena. But it happened here, and to show this season had hope, to get me excited for the future of this season, that's all I needed. And for those feelings that it gave me, this is a top 10 week of Big Brother. On to number 8, I had an older-ish season of the show, and just a week that I vividly remember so well. A week that is like one of those chain reactions, where you see the end result from the start, but you just want to know how the pieces fell together so perfectly to get there. And it helps when Dan Giesling is a part of it as well. I'm talking replacement nominee Roulette week in BB10. We were all watching a master at work and watching one of the most entertaining people in Big Brother history conduct an orchestra the entire week, and he made some damn good TV out of it. The week starts with an endurance HOH that came down to Dan and Ollie being worst case scenario HOH for majority of the house. So Dan, in order to ensure HOH, gives him an offer he cannot refuse. If Ollie drops out of the HOH, Dan will let him name one nominee, keep one person safe, and if the veto is used, he will let Ollie name that replacement nominee. That sounds like a pretty insane deal, right? Kind of too good to be true, and that's because it is too good to be true. Dan let us know from the start that this deal is way too good, and he'd be an idiot to do all of this for Ollie, just to repair a relationship with Ollie. But Dan is a showman, so he's going to make a meal out of this, doing Ollie right on the first two parts of this deal, not nominating Michelle, and even nominating his final two partner in Memphis to appease Ollie, as that was who Ollie wanted on the block. But this is all part of Dan's master plan. He's trying to keep Ollie and Michelle comfortable, which includes dangling his own allies in front of them, hiding his final two he has with Memphis. After Memphis wins the veto, this is Dan's time to cook. He knows he's breaking this deal with Ollie, but he's trying to take as little heat as possible for this, while making some great TV. So he comes up with replacement nominee Roulette. He's going to ask everybody else not on the block to name who they feel should be on the block. But he's rigging this to make sure everybody's name is said once, so that everybody else can be mad at somebody else that is not him, while he deals the deadly blow to blindside Ollie and Michelle to put Michelle on the block. And it's so damn good. He's a cheeky son of a bitch, but I love him so much for him. We all knew this deal was going to be broken. We just had to wait and see how. And the payoff was the best case scenario we possibly could have gotten from an entertainment standpoint. Leave it up to Dan to take a week where the majority alliance dominates and turn it into one of the greatest weeks in Big Brother history for me. Not to mention there was a double eviction that happened right at the end of the week that also took out Ollie. And Ollie's walkout is really funny. Not super notable, but it's a double eviction nonetheless, and those are mostly fun. It's just a great week conducted by my favorite to ever play Big Brother, so it has to rank pretty high. At number 7 is just a truly unbelievable week of Big Brother. I could explain every part of this week, and people wouldn't believe any of it, and that's what makes it so much fun, and that is going to be week 4 of Big Brother 20. Yes, this is the week where that thing happened. But I think I would not be doing this week or this video justice if I didn't talk about everything that led up to that iconic moment. Because there's a lot here. We start off with Sam winning the HOH. Mind you, winning HOH the last week her power is useful, which means that whoever is sent home on her HOH will have the chance to return to the game. She then decides to nominate Haley and Caitlyn because she thinks they are, and I'm not being dramatic, thoughts. Tells them this in her nomination speech, basically slut-shaming them, which is insane. Then the veto is an entire mess, with Fessy getting chosen to play in veto, somebody who is very close with both Haley and Caitlyn in somewhat of a romantic way. Fessy, in all of his wisdom, promises to use the veto on both of them if he wins, and then, in even grander wisdom, actually wins the veto, meaning he has to break his promise to one of these two people. He uses the veto on Haley, leaving Caitlyn completely broken on the block. Sam puts up Rockstar as a pawn, and then Caitlyn is sent home near unanimously. But oh wait, Sam's power is automatically activated, meaning Caitlyn has another chance to stay in the game. All she has to do is complete a 6-piece puzzle in 2.5 minutes, and she's back in the game, baby. And we all know what happens next. One of the most jaw-dropping and iconic moments in Big Brother history, where nobody was prepared for Caitlyn to go home. This power app was made to keep the person evicted in the game, to elongate the season. You were supposed to win. You couldn't possibly mess up a 6-piece puzzle. But Caitlyn, on live TV, did. And it was glorious to watch. This entire week had so many just speechless moments. A lot of bad gameplay. And is the best week of BB20, and I will argue that to my grave. Iconic and unbelievable. I loved watching this live, and it holds up on a rewatch every time. At number 6, missing out on the top 5 just barely, is the earliest week on this list. It's not a week 1 though, but shout out to Frenchie and BB23 because that was nuts. Instead, I'm looking at a week 2, and I'm talking about a season that is very controversial, but I love this week. It's week 2 of BB16. This was the week of Devon, and I'm a sucker for Devon as a character, and this week was the pinnacle of it all. It's the peak of BB16. I'm so serious. Devon wins HOH along with Amber. However, Devon won HOH on a technicality because Hayden actually dropped at the last second, so Devon didn't even initially win HOH. It's a whole thing, whatever. Devon puts up Pow Pow and Brittany with the goal to target Brittany because he just hates Brittany, I guess. So in order to ensure Brittany goes, he walks up to Pow Pow and makes a deal with her. If she throws the Battle of the Block, he will make sure that Pow Pow does not go home, to the point where if he wins that veto, he'll use it on her. Cut to Devon winning the veto, and Devon messing up his own plans. Him and Brittany have a conversation, a heart-to-heart about her being a single mom and just everything about it. This one conversation completely wins Devon over, and he realizes he can't do this to a single mom, and now changes his mind and has to save Brittany, his target for the entire week. Devon's antics and all this don't go over well with his alliance and the bomb squad, because obviously, so they decide to flip on Devon. Devon finds out, he calls a bomb squad meeting, him and Zach have a fight, Zach taunts Devon to put him on the block, and the bomb squad has completely blown up at this point. And I haven't even gotten to the veto meeting. There's just so much to this week, but the veto meeting is the peak of this week. Devon uses the veto on Brittany, Zach goes up in his place, Brittany gets mad at Pow Pow for throwing Battle of the Block, and then Zach goes on a crazy rant and just berates Devon, making this such an iconic veto meeting and moment in Big Brother. And after the dust settles, Zach is probably going home here until Derek picks up the remaining members of the bomb squad and rallies the votes together to flip this vote and keeping Zach, to Devon's surprise. And then Devon figures this out. He goes crazy, tells the alliance he's out of the bomb squad, and just so much here. Oh my god. I really forgot how much happens this week, but it's just insane, and it all surrounds Devon, someone I can never be bored of. I could have this ranked higher, but I felt that the other weeks had higher highs or moments that I'm more attached to than anything that happens this week. This is still incredible though, and I will never forget you, Devon Shepard. One of the most underrated Big Brother characters of all time. Top 5, baby. And I think it's about time I talk about the greatest downfall in Big Brother history. Something I vaguely remember as I was recently into the online fandom and the feeds at this point. And watching and reading it all back, I can confirm Paulie's downfall in BB18 is that damn good. Paulie had been tormenting that BB18 house for weeks on end at this point, making awful comments left and right and just showing who he really is. But finally, things were being taken down around him, and when Victor wins HOH after the double eviction, everything is lining up to take down this unlikable guy. Everybody who's an ally of Paulie, aside from like Corey, completely turns on him, leaving him isolated. Corey and Paulie are blindsided and put up, and this is where everything just gets satisfying. Paulie crying in the diary room, talking about not using the veto on himself to take down Corey, talking just all this nonsense about how much of a competitor he is, all that bullshit. He gets grilled every time he tries to speak because people are over his pompous attitude and awful behavior. You're never going to be Cody or Derek is so iconic. Big Meech, you did your big one on that. Paulie loses the veto, and not only that, but he gets the apple pie punishment, which means he has to bake an apple pie every time Big Brother tells him to, while waving a Zingbot flag and wearing that fuck-ass chef's hat. All of this is just Paulie's funeral, and I'm so happy watching his demise. Like, are you kidding? He cries while waving that fucking flag, and then cries when a butterfly shows up. It's unbelievably hilarious. He's a broken man the entire week, and it's exactly what he deserves. A beautiful downfall that lasts an entire week, and this is a celebration for us fans who had to live with the Paulie reign for as long as we did. And for that, this is a top 5 week. Into the top 4, and this week is so personal to me. I don't know if it'll be ranked as highly as it would for others because the stigma on this season is very negative nowadays, but this is the most modern week on this list. Something I personally got to watch with my own eyes from beginning to end. One of the few times I've ever personally watched live feeds for days straight. I stopped whatever I was doing to watch the live feeds. And I'm talking about the Izzy boot in BB25. I just had so much fun with this week. We start with a Cameron HOH, the guy on the bottom whose only ally just got blindsided the week before. Cameron's nominations are so much fun because he tells everybody that Jag and Blue are the nominees. And then there's this like little moment between him and Blue, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever witnessed in Big Brother. I think about it all the time and I laugh.
Oh, you know what, Jasmine?
Who is Jasmine?
It's a whole new world.
But at the nomination, he blindsides everybody, including Feeds watchers, by nominating Izzy and Felicia. And this was the 1 week where we like kinda had the key wheel back with the pies, and he had to pie everybody who he said was safe for nominations, which just made their nominations that much more dramatic and that much better for television. This shocks everybody. And I remember seeing that tweet that said that Izzy and Felicia are the nominees, and I was gagged. And all of this was just for nominations. This was just like a day on live feeds. We still have 6 more days to go. The veto doesn't get used, and Felicia is pretty much going to go home until Jared decides to be too damn messy to too many damn people. This starts a chain reaction with a lot of different people starting to lose trust in the Jared and Suri and the Izzy side of things, where there were talks about turning on this group. But some conversations are had, and Corey in particular realizes this flip needs to happen right here, right now. And watching Corey go from person to person to person and opening their eyes, or at least trying to open their eyes on how things are and how much they have been played by Suri, Jared, and Izzy. Oh, it's so good. And the topping on this glorious Sunday comes right before the eviction episode. After Suri and Izzy realize this vote might have just flipped on them, they send Jared to suss things out, leading to the only legitimate fight in Big Brother history I've had the pleasure of watching on live feeds between Jared and Corey. That is a core memory that I will never forget about in Big Brother. I know exactly where I was watching this on live feeds with so many hilarious moments. And for Corey, of all people, to be a part of one of the best fights in Big Brother since Day 44 and BB21 is so funny. This fight was the cherry on top of an electric week of Big Brother where the flip is confirmed and Izzy is sent home. Just don't ask me what happens the rest of the season because, in my opinion, this week in particular is peak. I love every week on this list, obviously, but this was always a top 3 for me. These 3 were the clear top spots, and oh my god, was it so hard to decide what to do. The order could be switched up anytime, but I had to go with my heart. So the lowest of these 3 is going to BB24, and I'm talking week 3, the formation of the leftovers. Considering this week starts the Festy Bestie twist, one of the worst twists in Big Brother history, my love for this week comes because it was so unexpected, and I was losing all my hope for this season. Turner wins HOH, and things are simply just going to be a Taylor backdoor, with the Majority Alliance gaming the Festy Bestie twist so they just have automatic protection on all angles. That is, until we get to the moment of Monty and Kyle realizing they are on the bottom of their side of the house, and they go to flip everything on its head. The formation of the leftovers is a top 3 moment in Big Brother history for me, and I stand by that 1,000,000%. That night on feeds is incredible. Seeing everything I had hoped for coming together with the outsiders joining to form a majority against the unlikable people on the other side. Not only preventing a steamroll, but giving new life to somebody like Taylor, who was dead in the water from night 1 until this moment. And on the episode, I thought this was beautifully done, with the Wednesday episode ending with the formation of the leftovers instead of just the veto meeting. Then the veto meeting was incredible with Turner's speech, Taylor crying, and the absolute blindside of Amira, and that side of the house. But it doesn't even stop there, because on feeds, I had a ton of fun watching the leftovers run circles around these people, completely tricking all of them into figuring out who was behind this back door. And even after the blindside, Amira still thinks she's safe up until the eviction, where the leftovers make their move, taking out the leader of the opposition in a rare blindside, a blindside where the person evicted didn't know they were going home. Something we never see in the modern day until AI Arena. This week was everything I could have asked for to save a season that was dying early on. It's the rise of Taylor and the rise of that side of the house, taking a stand and not letting people steamroll their game. Simply incredible. Into the top 2, and some people may not agree with this order, but my number 2 is going to be the most chaotic week in Big Brother history, week 4 of Big Brother 10. This was the week that Jesse went home, and you know the iconic moments that come from this. This is the week of the wall comp, where we have Dan's coaching, April winning that, and then April decides Memphis is her target for the week, with Jesse as the pawn. But on Keisha's fateful birthday, everything comes to. We all know Keisha's birthday. I mean, come on. Jesse eavesdropping on Keisha and Libra, just bitching about April, Jesse snitching, April confronting the duo, Jerry and Rennie getting into it. You're sticking fingers in people's faces, damn it. It's inappropriate. And then when they figure out Jesse was the one that snitched, Jesse listens to them talking about him, and he goes to confront it with all hell breaking loose. And I will never forget about how Big Brother bought the rights to sing the saddest and most pathetic happy birthday of all time, giving us the iconic, anybody want cake? And then these people will just go back to fighting 5 seconds later. It's absolute cinema. And I beg of you to watch this all again because it's incredible from beginning to end. And it's a top moment in Big Brother history and probably the best fight in Big Brother history. But it doesn't even end there because game-wise, it's just as crazy. Because of this fight, the house completely splits down the middle between those who want to work with Jesse and those who want Jesse out. And good old Dan Giesling is in the middle. But for this week, and this week only, Dan is America's player, which means he does not control his vote. The deciding vote. All of this transpiring in one glorious week where Jesse is blindsided by America. And so many people are pissed. And then, of course, because the Big Brother God said so, Michelle wins the next HOH, and the fighting gets even crazier after this. However, I'm not going to include that second fight after the HOH as a part of this week because it is after the HOH was crowned, and that's kind of my cutoff point. If that fight after Michelle wins HOH was a part of this week, then this is the number one week in Big Brother history, but I don't include it. So, with everything we have here, it just misses out on the top spot at number 2. And at number 1, I really didn't think this would become number 1, but I thought about everything that happens this week, and including all my biases, this has to take the cake. It's unbelievable, exciting, gives me my favorite moment in Big Brother history, because I'm talking about Dan's funeral and that entire week in BB14. And while yes, obviously Dan's funeral is amazing, this week has so many layers to it and so much that happens that I believe people forget about because of how just awesome Dan's funeral is. The week starts with a knockout style HOH with this challenge that you would see in Survivor, and Frank pulls out the win despite the entire house being against him, and Frank having to face off against every single person. Frank winning was worst case scenario for Dan. He knows Frank is gunning for him hard, and he needs to win veto or he's done for. A second veto is sent into the game due to Pandora's box, and it's a complete frenzy with Dan going insane to get this goddamn veto, trying everything he can to mess with everybody else, only for Ian to get the second veto instead. Despite this, the Quack Pack come up with a plan where Brittany or Shane win this veto. That way, both vetoes can be used to save Dan and Danielle, and only one Quack Pack member is eligible to go up instead. The veto comp is one of my favorite single competitions ever in Big Brother. Not the structure itself, it's how it played out. The comp is basically like playing Scribblio, if you know what that is, and Frank dominates, taking every punishment known to man to ensure that Dan does not win this veto because of how much he hates Dan. Only for Frank to cheat on the very last question, eliminating himself from the competition when he was guaranteed to win. And then Gen City comes out of nowhere to win the power veto. An unbelievable turn of events. Like, what are we talking about here? Dan gets 24 hours of solitary confinement, and we all know what happens next. If you don't know what Dan's funeral is, I'm sorry, do you even know Big Brother at that point? It's the greatest thing I've ever witnessed, I think, in reality TV history. And it's even crazier if you go back to the live feeds of it all. And somehow flipping the entire game, this entire week that was destined for Dan to fail, to take out Brittany, blow up the Quack Pack, and leave this game wide open for anybody to win. Oh, also Ian and Frank got into a fight too after the veto meeting. So if you were missing the fighting aspect, this week has it. Those are my top 10 weeks in Big Brother history. I might have talked about this a bit longer than my least favorite weeks in Big Brother, but these weeks are what I love about the show. And to see a decent amount of recent weeks on here gives me confidence we're going to get plenty more of some all-time weeks in the future. Outside of that, we got some fun coming to the channel. AU vs. the World season review is swiftly approaching somehow. Survivor is nearing, and of course, more Big Brother as well. But that'll do it for me for now. If you made it to the end of this video, I love ya. Platonically, of course. And I will undoubtedly see ya when I see ya. Bye-bye.